Redeeming Love is directed by DJ Crusoe and stars Abigail Cohen and Tom Lewis. And it's about two people living in the 1850s. A prostitute named Angel, who has gone through numerous amounts of torture in her life, and a farmhand named Michael, who simply wants the best for her, and their rocky, yet underneath it all, loving relationship. Watching the trailers for this movie, or even just reading the title, I wasn't particularly excited for this film. It just looked like your run-of-the-mill, average romance that was probably going to be more creepy than it was romantic, and nothing else more. Call me a pessimist, but that was my thought process. So, did the movie surprise me at all? Was it any good? No, it wasn't any good, but it did surprise me. Not by being good, no. This is an awful movie. Just not for the reasons you may think. So before I get into just why this movie is so surprisingly awful, is there anything of redeeming value in it? Honestly, yeah, there are a couple things. For one, the movie looks nice. When we're in the western countryside, the film knows how to shoot these scenes in order to make them look as though they were as heavenly as possible. And while there aren't any amazing camera angles or anything like that, the simple shots themselves can be kind of stunning at times. Also, Logan Marshall Green is in this movie. If you know him from Upgrade like I do, you know that he's an amazing actor. And if you don't know what Upgrade is, it's basically Venom if it was good. And Logan Marshall Green, playing the character of the brother-in-law of Michael, brings so much emotion to his role. He is too good for this movie. He is giving a way better performance than this movie deserves in the slightest. Other than that, though, yeah, this movie's pretty terrible. Let's start with the biggest question of the hour in any romance movie. Does the romance itself work? Nope. Not only do they have zero chemistry with each other, but all conversations between them is pushed aside to the second half of the film for some reason. And in the first half, Michael acts like a complete creeper to Angel. Love at first sight is one thing, constantly badgering this poor woman at her job, and honestly, constantly asking her to marry him even though they know nothing about each other isn't just a red flag, it's a crimson red flag. And their romance is so rushed and so one-sided that when they do end up in that cabin that is constantly in all of the trailers and is even on the poster, it seems more like Stockholm Syndrome than an actual romance between two people who love and know each other so well. To the point where Angel is constantly running away from Michael just to come back, running away just to come back. This is just an abusive relationship. This isn't a romance. This is psychological torture to this poor woman. And while we're on the subject of Angel and torture, let's get to probably the biggest problem in this entire movie. Tonally, this movie is all over the place. If you went into this movie expecting just some run-of-the-mill romance, you will get a run-of-the-mill romance, but a run-of-the-mill romance with murder, rape, and constant torture to every single character. This is a brutal, disgusting movie that is disguised as a romance. Watching this film is like watching a pirated version of The Notebook that for some reason is intercut with scenes from Gangs of New York. One minute you could be watching Michael watching the sunrise and charmingly giving prayer, and literally the next scene could be Angel getting physically beaten and verbally abused by her employers. The tone in this movie is all over the place, ranging from dark to heavenly, and this is most prevalent in the first half of the film, and it is so insane that it's almost worth watching just for just how insane it is. But because all of that insanity is pushed to the very front of the film and all the romance is pushed to the very back of the film, it creates probably the final problem I have with the movie: the pacing. In the first half of this film, this movie is so rushed, especially the romance, that when we get to the second half of the film and they actually take the time to build character between Angel and Michael, build character between them, it is so slow and so boring and so repetitive, you just want it to either end or go back to that insanity. And it goes back to that insanity at the very end of the film, but it's only like that, and then the movie ends. There is a fine line between too rushed and too slow, and this movie has no idea where that line is. Yeah, this movie's pretty frickin' terrible. I will give credit that every now and again there is a decent shot, and Logan Marshall Green, why are you in this movie? No, seriously, why are you in this movie? He gives the best performance, and then he's just gone from the movie for most of it, and then at the very end, he's suddenly back, giving once again the best performance in the movie. Where were you in that whole middle? But a couple nice shots and a decent performance that ultimately goes nowhere is not enough to call this in any way a good movie. The two main love interests share practically no chemistry with each other, and their romance comes off more as Stockholm Syndrome than two people who know and love each other. The tone is all over the place, with the movie bouncing from heavenly romance to brutal torture on the flip of a dime, and the pacing in this movie is all over the place, ranging from way too quick in the first half to ungodly slow in the second half. This movie is over 2 hours long, and by God does it feel like that, and by God does it not have to be. I expected to just watch a bland romance, and the movie truly did surprise me. But what it surprised me with was not good. So yeah, I'm gonna give Redeeming Love an F. It's the same grade that I gave The King's Daughter, and I will give Redeeming Love some credit. It wasn't as bad as The King's Daughter, but being less bad than trash doesn't not make you trash. Does that make sense? Well, guys, thank you so much for watching, and let me know in the comments down below, what's your favorite romance? For me personally, I could actually choose a couple, but in my opinion, the best romance is, in my opinion, one of the best musicals, and that is La La Land. I think that movie is just amazing. Thank you guys so much for watching. You guys are the best. Don't forget to subscribe down below and click the bell icon to stay up to date on all things movie, all things TV, all things nerd.